Hello everybody, and welcome back to the playthrough. So, for today's episode, I made a really big mistake for recording this session. A really big mistake. It was so stupid of me. So, I basically did the same thing that I do every time, which is I loaded up my recording software, which is OBS in this case, and I loaded up the game, and I thought I had gone back and pressed the record button before I started playing, and then about half an hour later I wanted to take a break to have a drink and go to the toilet and whatever. And as I tabbed out to pause the recording, I realised that I hadn't pressed record in the first place, so we are missing about half an hour worth of footage before this episode starts. I do apologise. There are a couple of upgrades in the base, which I will show you just now. First of all, I have upgraded a couple of chests to the next level, and I have also started fermenting down a barley wine base for fire resistance meads, so we should have some fire resistance meads very soon. And these are the new chests, the black metal chest. It's just a larger chest again above the fine wood chest that we've made. So yeah, I've just basically gone around and done a couple of base upgrades and just done a couple more things to get ready, and now I'm just going to use the obliterator to get rid of some of these. They're just food components or food recipe items from the swamp, and we don't really need 4 stacks of them, so to save space in the chest I'm just going to get rid of a couple and make myself some more coal, because we do need some. I've also taken down all of the smelters and the charcoal kiln, so we don't have those up at the minute, but we do have the pieces for them. And yeah, there's a couple of things I want to do at base, a couple of little like housekeeping things before we then decide later on in the episode we are going to go off and take on Yagluth. We're going to take on that plains boss and defeat him so that we can finally start making our way towards the Mistlands. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've done so far at the start of this episode. I was so annoyed when I found out as well. It's one of those where you think you'd clicked a button, but you hadn't actually clicked it. You probably just misclicked or missed it or something. But yeah, I was very disappointed when I tabbed out and realised I hadn't clicked record. It was a very good thing I tabbed out after about half an hour or so, because imagine if I'd done the whole boss fight and just not recorded it, missed it completely. I would have been furious. So yeah, that is what we've done so far. Now, another thing I'm doing, just because we're doing a bit of housekeeping and doing our final prep before we go off to Yagluth, I am just quickly checking on if we've missed anything in terms of base upgrades and tables and stuff like that. I have covered this table in the past, which is the cartography table, but the thing about this table is it's a multiplayer table. You don't really need it when you're playing solo. If you ever plan on having people in your world, I would highly recommend building a cartography table as soon as possible, because what it does is there's 2 parts to the table. There is kind of like, there's the main map table itself, and then you've got kind of like the bit at the end which is full of like scrolls and inks and pens and all that kind of stuff. If you were to activate the main map part of the table, you can record all of the data that's on the table already. And the way it works is that, say there's 3 or 4 of you playing on the game and you've all gone off and explored in different directions, and then you all come back to base. What you start off doing is all 4 of you would go and activate to the end of the table, which has all the scrolls and the ink pots and stuff like that. And what that does is it records all of the exploration data that you've recorded from playing. So if you've gone off on your own and explored a whole section of the map, it records all that data onto the table, and then other players in your game can then go and activate the map part of the table, the main part of it, and they will record the data that you've saved to that table, which then uncovers it on their map as well. There is a slight difference. I think if you like data that you haven't that you've taken from the table from other players, it's a bit faded in a way, but it does also record things like waypoints and stuff like that. So let's just say you find something really important, and you don't want to have to describe it to your friends to tell them where it is. All you have to do is just use the cartography table. So it's very useful. I really like it. I think as a quality of life upgrade for multiplayer games, it's fantastic. It's just obviously we don't need it for this playthrough because this is a solo playthrough, so I don't need to record and take down my own map data, obviously. Now, we have had a quick check on the pigs, and we have realised that we don't have any food for them, so I'm currently just testing out. One thing I did learn with the pigs, or the boar, sorry, is that they don't, it's not just, say, raspberries and blueberries and stuff that they eat. They will eat a lot of different vegetables. I'm just going through some of the vegetables that we have quite a lot of and testing out which ones they will actually eat. So we've tried the yellow mushrooms, they don't want those. Next I'm going to try the onions. I would assume they wouldn't want to eat onions, but we'll test them out anyway just to see. They might eat them. I don't know if pigs really care about the taste of onions. Oh, they all seem to be moving towards it. And we do obviously have our 2 named boar as well. Yes, there we go. Okay, so that pig went up. Sorry, that boar went up and ate one, and the golden hearts. That means they accept that food. Fantastic. We do have our two named boar as well, Crispy Bacon and Bianca. I also went back and checked through the comment section to make sure that those two names were recommended by, or were asked for by some subscribers or some people who'd commented, so I'm quite glad that we remembered to do that. Now, one other thing is, I feel like the base is missing a bit of life. Obviously, we do have the boar pen and the wolf pen, but they're kind of just set off to one side and not really seen that much. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring one of the wolves out of the pen, and I've told him to stay by the entrance there, but what he's going to do now is he's just going to wander around the base. So it just means that every now and then we'll be doing some stuff, or we'll pop back to base and the wolf will be there, and we'll see him kind of wandering around. And hopefully as well, one other thing he'll do, another benefit he should provide, is that he should then patrol as well. So what he'll do is he'll kind of stick around the area. I'm just going to kind of follow him around and see what he does. But say a greyling or a neck or something decides to wander around the back end of the wall. Oh, there we go. He's oh, okay, I thought something had got his attention. But yeah, say a greyling or a neck or something patrols, so walks into the base from the edge of the water. They manage to make their way around the wall. The wolf will then just run up and attack them, and because they're all really low level, even skeletons, the wolf will just pretty much kill them in one hit, and I won't have to worry about the wolf dying. So he's basically a bodyguard for us. But actually mentioning the walls on the water's edge and stuff like that, this one's been bugging me for a while because we have a lot of creatures that keep wandering around these wall sections here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to extend it out into the water. This isn't going to completely stop them. If a creature is very persistent, they will be able to just swim around it. Oh no. Oh, that's not great. That's an attack. Right, okay. Foul smell from the swamp. So that is a swamp-based attack. I think the foul-smelling one is slimes, like oozes and stuff. Let's go and have a look, shall we? Fortunately enough, our base is busy enough that I don't think creatures will spawn inside the walls. I think we should be alright if we stand out here. Most of them will just be attracted to me and they'll come and fight me. I think this is the ooze one. Let's make sure we eat some food as well. Okay, where are these oozers? I know they're hiding somewhere. I haven't seen any of them yet. I guess they must take a few seconds to spawn at the start of an attack, or maybe it's because I'm stood in the area. Can you see anything up that way? It just looks like bushes and rocks. I can't see any oozes. Where are you hiding? Ah, whoa, wow, hello. There's like a whole bloody generation of them just spawned in. Right, okay. And of course there's a grey dwarf, of course there is. Or greyling. Right. This is a little bit one-sided, I'm not going to lie, because this mace is just going to one-shot all of them. Even the oozers here, these ones, the ones that, when you... Oh, actually, no, it didn't one-shot him. Wow, I'm surprised. I'll be surprised if we even get poisoned. Oh, he's made it into the base. Where's the wolf? Wolf, help! Take down that ooze. Oh, I can't jump over the wall. Okay, let's take these guys out. Oh, okay, it looks like that oozer that jumps over the wall is actually coming back round to us, so that should be a bit easier. We'll take them down, take down the blobs. Not as difficult as I thought it was going to be, but then again, these are swamp level creatures and I am using max level plains gear, so really wasn't expecting much of a challenge from them. Ah, oh, we got poisoned. Boo. And the smell is gone. Wow, that didn't last very long at all. But unfortunately, even after the attack has ended, look how you can see our wolf running off in the distance. He must be clearing up some of the others. But even though the attack has gone, there are still the enemies that spawned in that we need to clear out. So let's go and deal with these guys. Hopefully get rid of those. We are getting poisoned repeatedly, but it's really not that dangerous to us at all. What damage is it doing? 1.8 per second, which, yeah, that's not dangerous to us at all. Right, let's just have a quick wander around the edge of the wall. Might as well pick up all the ooze and stuff that they dropped and check if there's any remaining. But again, it didn't look like any of them actually made it into our base, so we seem to be pretty well protected when it comes to attacks like that. At least it just seems to me that every time we've had one, nothing actually spawns inside our walls, which is really useful. Maybe they've changed it or something. Maybe it's like... I think it has something to do with your crafting table or maybe your bed. I think there's like a certain radius around it where creatures can't spawn. Possibly. Yeah, base looks absolutely fine. No worries whatsoever. The one that we really need to be worried about is the troll attack, or if I haven't seen this yet, or if there's, say, like an abomination attack, or maybe the elementals, like the frost elementals and stuff from the mountain, like the big, anything that just does really big heavy damage. That would be the worry, because they could take out entire sections of base in pretty much one hit. Okay, our mid base is still fermenting. There's our wolf. He's kind of just hiding behind the anvil. Nice one. Good to know that you're going to help me in attacks. Good job. Right, let's put those back in there. I picked up an iron scrap. That's strange. I'm guessing one of those oozes or one of those blobs must have had an iron scrap in them. I think they can drop random things. That might be the explanation as to why we picked up the occasional random iron scrap whilst we were in the swamp. Alright, so there's the Yagluth area. I kind of like that his arena area is on the coast. That makes life a bit easier for us. Okay, one thing I'm going to do before we go off and before we attack or go off and fight Yagluth, is realise that when we had the wishbone, I kind of half explained that there was another use for the wishbones other than just using them to find silver on the mountain, which is that you can use them in a couple of other zones. I believe I did kind of showcase it to you in the swamp, where you could find the piles of scrap, like the muddy scrap piles, so that you could get more iron. There is a third use for them, which is using them in the meadows. There you go, we've already got some sparks flying out, so we are quite close to something. So, I don't think I've mentioned these stones before, but if you look at the formation of these stones, once we finish digging up this chest, yeah, the formation of these stones, once you look at the full size of it, it actually looks like a boat shape. And these are hidden treasures that you can find in the plains. And obviously you just saw there that we uncovered a chest, and it's still flashing as well, so it must mean there's something else nearby. Probably a set of bones from the captain or something. But yeah, these kind of boat-shaped stone formations here are basically just sunken boats. Or sunken boats? No, they're just boats, like buried boats or something. So it's kind of strange why the stones kind of form that formation, because obviously you wouldn't really make a boat out of stone. I don't think it would work very well. But when you're using the wishbone, you'll obviously get these sparks flying out, and then you can dig down and find one of these chests, and in that chest you'll find valuable items. So we found a necklace, which will be worth a fair bit of gold to the merchants, and we also found some fire arrows, which aren't very useful, but that is essentially the third use that you have with the wishbone from, I think, where did we get that from? We get that from defeating the swamp boss, so Bone Mass. He drops that. Obviously, again, the main use for the wishbone is to find silver in the mountain and iron in the swamp if you desperately need it, but you also find some valuable items as well that you can sell for a bit of gold. So if you ever need some gold for the merchant and you just don't have any, you could always pop on your wishbone and go around your meadow areas and find some hidden treasure. It's pretty good, actually. I quite like it. Again, it's just another way of getting some gold if you don't want to have to go searching around for enemies and stuff that drop it. Although now that we're in the plains, if we need gold, we've got a pretty steady income of it, of just killing the fullings. We'll see if we can go off and find another one. I'm pretty sure there might be another way that you can get hidden treasure in the meadows, or it might just be that that boat-shaped like rock formation that actually has them. But again, just make sure you've got your wishbone on, get it activated so that you're not using anything else, like the girdle or anything else, and it will occasionally, sparks will start flying out. Here we are, here's another one here, so as we're approaching it you'll notice it's kind of boat-shaped almost. There we are. And if we dig here we should find another chest. It's difficult to see because it's night time and we're digging straight down into darkness. Oh, there's some bones there. And there's the chest as well, perfect. So yeah, there seems to be a chest and some bones. There we go, another necklace. And some gold in there as well, which is quite good. Perfect, there we go. For some reason it's kind of weird that you have to destroy the chest to get it to stop telling you there's something there, because it's obviously it's just an empty chest, but I'll take it. But yeah, that is the other use for the wishbone, if you ever want to go out and find some hidden treasure. There are also a couple of other chests that we haven't really seen before. We just unlocked a new one there called the treasure chest, which we needed those silver necklaces for. Now, I'm not exactly sure what the treasure chest does, but it's a decorative piece. I believe it might also be a kind of just like a small chest, but I like to use it as a decorative piece, so that will probably go into our comfort building next to our throne or something, just have a small treasure chest. Again, it's more of a thematic thing. I don't know if maybe it has like infinite, or maybe it has like a really high storage space for gold coins or something. Excuse me. But yeah. Now, one thing I don't want to do is, I don't really like doing it, to be honest with you, because as you can see there, it just kind of leaves these big holes all over your map. So when we're running around the meadows in future, you're going to see those holes. Now, I know a lot of people won't really care about that, but I kind of like things to look very clean and normal, and not have big, awkwardly shaped holes dug everywhere, so yeah. Oh, there you go, you can see our sea serpent head there. It's got the glowing parts on the top of it. So I was right, there are parts of the sea serpent trophy that glow. Looks pretty good, I like it, it's very thematic. Okay, we're just going to skip the night, and hopefully this should be we should be ready on the fire resistance mead, that's it. That's what we're waiting for. That's pretty much the last thing we're waiting for. We've got food, we've got armour, we've got weapons and shields, we've got our bow and arrow, which I don't know if we'll use very much of. Go, there's our treasure again, the silver necklace. That's our treasure chest. We've got 2 of them, so it might actually be worth building it. We've got some rubies. Is it rubies? Yeah. Obviously we've got the gold as well. We've got plenty of gold. Now we just need some actual silver, I think. Is it silver? Wolf, get out from there. Oh, okay. No, you really... okay, he really wants to stand there. Fair enough. We'll grab some silver. Got silver, gold, rubies, silver necklaces. Just pop the linen in there. Obviously we need some wood for the chest as well. You are exposed. You are sheltered. Just noticed that in the top left of our screen. Alright, there we go. There's our treasure chest. It's actually just like an uncovered chest. Has it done anything to our comfort? No. Okay, we didn't get an extra comfort level from it. But yeah, there you go. Another decorative piece to go in our comfort building. Kind of sad that it doesn't... oh, yes! Our meads are done. It's kind of sad that it doesn't increase your comfort. You'd think you'd be a bit more comfortable if you had a big treasure chest sat next to you with all this gold and rubies and stuff hanging out of it, but... oh well. Right, let's clear out inventories. Dump everything we don't need. Oh, I always do that. We always drop the mallet in there. Or the hammer. We don't need those arrows. It's another type of arrow we really don't need. So many different types of arrows now. There we go. We're probably going to have to make one of the bigger chests for those as well. We have 6 of the fulling totems, and I'm pretty sure we only need 5 of them. I remember looking it up about a week or 2 ago, and I think it said it was 5 that we needed, but we're going to take all 6 with us just in case, because I don't want to run the risk of not having... Just going to put the wishbone back in there. I don't want to run the risk of not having enough and then making us, forcing us to have to come back again. Drop the wood in there, drop you in there. Okie dokie. Any other last bits and pieces that we need to do before we leave? Don't really think we do. Food, yeah. We need to sort out food. Put the healing potion or the healing mead on our action bar. Repair stuff as well. Yep, that's another thing. There we go. We're probably going to eat a Buke Perry before we head off, because we've got about 20 minutes left on our food buffs. which means that we've already lost some of the bonuses from them, but I don't want to have to wait 22 minutes or 21 minutes in order to eat again, so probably a good idea for us to just eat a Buke Perry right before we leave, and then we can get the maximum amount of health and stamina from our food. Oh wow, another 40 barley flour, sweet. Loads of that now, definitely ready for the Mistlands. Yeah, we have 71. Very nice. And we've still got 30 barley left as well. That was one of the other things I had to go and do, was I had to go back to our plains base and harvest some barley and some flax. Oh god, that sound when you vomit. I do apologise, that's not very nice. I feel like I should censor that in some way. Oh god. He's doing it through his helmet as well. Oh no. Oh, the front of your helmet's just going to stink of vomit now. Blech. Oh, that's disgusting. What was I saying? Yeah, sorry. But the footage that I missed, I did have to go back to the plains and gather some barley, because to make the fire resist mead, you needed, I think it was 10 barley and 10 cloudberries. That was literally it. That's all you had to do for it. So you didn't need to do the kind of complex like healing mead recipes or anything like that. But you did need 10 barley instead of barley flour. So I had to go and get some barley from our base. Right, so we go. We have max food and armor, max food and health. Max stamina and health. We're just going to quickly refresh our rested buff. 19 minutes would most likely be all the time that we need to take on Yagluth, but I want to make sure we've got full. We got 24 minutes. Look at that, lovely. Right. Just going to let our health regen. Your health does regen a lot more when you're stood in a rested area. So we are just going to let that tick up a few times. What are we on? Grab our bow as well. We're going to want the bow to open up the fight with. Come on, tick up one more. Come on. Come on. I want to see how much we've got. 196, so I reckon we've probably got about 200, maybe 210 health. And then we've also got 175 stamina. We're on a really, really good level there. Grab the 6. Actually, no, I'm pretty confident it's 5. So I'm just going to take 5 for now. Worst comes to worst, we can just run back to the portal and grab the 6th one, but I'm pretty sure we only need 5. It's a very similar setup to the dragon, the dragon from the mountain. So, you had to have the 3 dragon eggs, and you had to place them in the kind of offering, and then summon the boss from that. That's pretty much what you have to do here as well. Here we go. Right, first thing we need to do as we're heading over there is we need to clear out any enemies nearby. So I can see those 2 death skeetos, so we need to go clear those out. Check for any fullings as well, because the last thing we want in the middle of the Yagluth fight is to be swarmed by a bunch of fullings or death skeetos and stuff like that. So we just want to make sure the surrounding area is quite clear. Yeah, looks absolutely fine. Can't see anything. Okay, so we need to head to this stone part in the middle. There we go, we've drunk the fire resistance wine, so we now have 10 minutes of fire resistance. There you go, so you have to place 5 offerings on the totem at the table here. And then activate the altar to give the sacrifice, and then obviously we're going to pay attention to the particles, because they should all start zooming into an area. There you go, you can see them all kind of being sucked into that space there. That's where the boss is going to summon. Yagluth's twisted soul has been summoned. I've been spelling his name wrong this whole time. Wow, good job, me. There he is. There is Yagluth. He's kind of a big skeleton boss. Now, Yagluth doesn't really have any melee attacks whatsoever. He does have 3 main attacks that you really need to pay attention to. His first one is this one here. He kind of raises his hand into the air and then kind of waves it forward, and he summons these giant, magical fire meteors from the sky. Those meteors will obviously slam into the ground. They'll be aimed at your player as well. So you need to pay attention to where they're going to land, and need to, basically as soon as I see him raise his hand, I start running away from him and putting some distance between us and constantly moving just to avoid being hit by the meteors. He does summon quite a lot of them as well, somewhere between 5 or 10. So you need to make sure that you're constantly moving. So you get caught by those meteors, they will deal quite a lot of damage, and obviously because he's doing pure fire damage, he will also leave a stacking fire damage over time effect on you. So yeah, need to be careful you don't get hit by that. using the fingers from his summon area, so you can tell he's got those big stone fingers from the hand that's sticking up out of the ground. I like to use those to kind of help during the meteor bit, because if he summons meteors, they will kind of hit those fingers and not hit the ground instead, so you can kind of use those to block them. But I wouldn't rely on them to, say, hide behind or anything like that, because he is summoning them from the sky, so you could still get caught by them. There you go, you can see his second attack right there, so he raises his hand up again, and then he punches the ground, he kind of slams his hand or his fist into the ground right next to him, and then you can see a big kind of blue fire explosion. And again, that doesn't deal a huge amount of damage to you if you get hit by the actual fist slam, but the blue fire effect does hit very hard. It does leave a very, very high stacking dot on you. There you go, I can kind of just about avoided that one there, but it does also leave that kind of blue flame in a big circle area as well, where his hand slams on the ground. So basically he just surrounds himself in blue fire, so you need to be careful standing in that, because it will deal damage to you. And then his third main attack is the fire breath. You'll have seen I got hit by it. Doesn't deal a huge amount of damage if you only get hit by one instance of it, but because it's a fire breath attack, it hits for multiple instances very quickly, so that, again, that's damage that can stack up over time. Now, as you can see here, I've just elected to stand inside the blue flame effect that he puts on the ground, just to show you that it doesn't actually do that much damage. When you think about it, it's not that bad. With the fire resistance mead, it should really, really help to reduce the amount of damage you take. I mean, look, it's barely ticking on me at all. It's hitting me for about 2.3, but it is still quite dangerous, because the whole thing about fire damage, as I've half explained in the past, is that with fire damage, obviously pretty much every instance of fire damage you get hit by will leave a stacking damage over time dot on you, damage over time dot, it's the same thing, a damage over time debuff on you, and then if you keep taking more fire damage hits after that, it adds to the amount of damage that you're taking from that damage over time effect. So if you, say, get hit by a couple of meteors, both of those fire damages both of those instances of fire damage on you will leave a dot on you that stacks. So the first one will leave a dot on you, and then it will add the amount of damage from the second one. And then if you get hit by the fire breath, that will then refresh the timer on your dot, but then will also increase it. It won't be very much of an increase, but it will still increase it by being hit by the fire breath. So that is the main danger when it comes to Yagluth. If you get hit by a whole bunch of his attacks one after another, you'll get hit by a very, very very high damage fire over time debuff. Fortunately enough, blocking seems to kind of save you from that damage over time stack as well. So even if you get hit by something, if you're blocking, it can help. You can also block his fist slam as well there, but you can't block the damage from being stood inside the blue flame. And then obviously you can kind of block his breath attack as well. I'd be very careful with blocking his breath attack, as because he's hitting you from multiple instances very quickly, what will happen is that he will drain your stamina and will probably even stagger you. Actually no, as you can tell there with my shield, he wasn't stacking up my stagger bar very quickly at all, but it will drain your stamina because you are using stamina to block, so you need to be careful with that. That's pretty much it to the Yagluth fight. It's a very movement-based fight. Oh, ouch. I took a few hits from the meteors there. But as you can tell, my health regen is keeping me topped up. I haven't really needed or felt the need to use a health potion yet. But we are actually dropping below 100 health now, so we're below half, which isn't fantastic. But then health regen took us back up above. So yes, we are being constantly hit by fire damage. And we've got the damage over time effect on us as well. Oh wow, okay, that's dangerous. We should look at maybe taking a potion. Let's just stay away from him for a bit and kind of block some damage. I am quite fortunate as well, because he seems to have kind of placed himself on this side of his like summoning altar, so I could use the other side of that altar to kind of block some damage. Oh, maybe not. I thought that would hopefully hit the top of the altar and it would be able to block it, but maybe not. There we go, just taking a potion to help regen some of the health back up. He is about half health. Oh, let's avoid that. That is one thing about his breath attack. Even if you're blocking and moving a bit slower, you can just sidestep that breath attack. If you keep moving to the side, left or right, it will. You'll be able to avoid it pretty much completely. I stood right in front of him there and he still wasn't hitting me with it, so it's not difficult to attack. One thing I didn't mention about the meteors, you might have noticed, but one thing I didn't mention about them is their AoE effect. So when they hit the ground, they have a wider range than what they appear to have. So even if it doesn't look like you're stood underneath the meteor when it hits, if you're stood just to the left or to the right of it, you might still get hit by it. You'll notice the knockback and obviously the fire damage and the dot as well, the damage over time effect as well. So you can tell when you've been hit by it, but they are deceptively larger than it looks. But yeah, this is the Yagluth fight. My biggest recommendation, keep moving. Take the opportunity to run up to the boss and hit him when you can. Obviously, you're going to have to try and get in there and do some damage as soon as possible. You can tell here that I've actually elected to switch away from the mace and I've gone onto the sword, because the sword seems to be hitting him a little bit harder than the mace. So I'm guessing he's not resistant to slashing damage, or maybe he is resistant to all of it. I did use the bow right at the start of the fight, and it did barely any damage to him whatsoever, so other than using, say, special arrows like frost arrows or the poison ones or something like that, I really can't see any other way of doing more damage to him. So Yagluth is an endurance fight. You need to avoid the abilities and stay away from taking too many fire damage hits. You desperately need to have the fire resist mead. I really can't recommend that any more than I already have. It's the most important thing in this fight. It will just reduce all of that fire damage in total. I believe it even affects the fire damage over time as well. One other thing I have neglected to mention, if you keep an eye on my buff bar at the top of my screen, so just to the left of my mini-map, you'll notice obviously I've got the fire resistance, I've got Meganords, and you can tell I've got the burning debuff as well. When he does his breath attack, he will also... oh, and his slam attack as well, so you can see it there, I've got a lightning debuff. Now the lightning debuff makes you take extra damage. I believe it can also makes you easier to stun as well. So if you're affected by the lightning debuff and then you get hit by a meteor, that fire damage over time effect is going to hit you a lot harder than you would expect. So again, try and avoid being hit by anything. But as you can tell, it's not really that difficult, to be honest with you. It's just about managing your health bar. That's probably the main thing in this fight, is avoiding his abilities and just keep an eye on your health bar. Make sure you've got your healing meads. Keep an eye on your debuff and your buff bar at the top of your screen so that you know when your healing mead cooldown is up, so that you can pop it again if you need to. It is a bit of it's an endurance fight, and also in the way that it does last quite a while as well, this fight. But oh, even though I was blocking his breath attack there, I still got hit by the lightning debuff. That's a shame. I'm guessing it's because you're still technically being hit by that attack even though you're blocking it. So yeah, this is Yagluth. It's a difficult fight. It can be quite difficult. Make use of these stone fingers. I haven't really used them too much in this fight, but make use of them. If he's about to breathe on you, go run behind one of them. The breath attack won't actually deal any damage to the stone fingers itself, so it's not like he's going to blow up the stone finger and blow that cover away. The only thing that will do that is the meteors. But again, because the meteors are coming down from the sky, I wouldn't rely on hiding behind the fingers if he does that, because they can fall in opposite directions as well. So if it looks like they're coming from behind him and you're stood the opposite side of the finger, one of them might come from behind you and still end up catching you. Oh wow, we're actually taking a big amount of fire damage right now. We might actually die here. Oh no, I died. Oh, that is so bad. He's so low health as well. No, we need to get back quickly. That's the danger of Yagluth. Even with the fire resist mead, even with all of our health and our ammo and our stamina, all of our health and our armor and our stamina, even with all of that and our healing meads and stuff like that, I got hit by multiple different instances of fire damage, and he also caught me with the lightning debuff as well, which meant that I was basically being hit by an absolute truck with that fire damage over time. I think the initial fire damage over time was hitting me for about 16 each tick. That was each second for about 5 to 10 seconds. And then obviously with new instances of fire damage, reapplying that dot, it refreshes the timer on it and just adds to it as well. And then after the 16 damage one wore out, we were then getting hit for 8. And yeah, it just really stacks up over time. Can be a very difficult fight. So just be aware of being hit by too many of the attacks. I believe one thing you could do is you could stay quite close to the water's edge as well. If you're lucky enough to have the Yagluth spawner right next to the coast like we have, if you stick close to the water's edge, you might be able to run into the water and kind of remove the fire damage debuff. Or the damage over time debuff. But luckily enough, he doesn't heal. I don't think any of the bosses heal. I think if you die and the boss is nearly dead... Actually, is he regenning or is he not? Let's just grab our gear. There we go. Quickly reapply all. Oh god, he's right there. Run! Get your gear on and run! We don't have our fire resistance mead either, so we need to make sure we pop that too. I think if we keep kiting him around these fingers, we should be okay. Okay, avoid that breath attack. Oh, he's going to slam now. Oof, ouch. That did a bit of damage. Wow, 14, 16 damage he's hitting us with. Yeah, we desperately need to take the fire resist mead as soon as possible. Look at that damage. There's the meteors. There we go, pop that. Maybe our resistance mead wore out. I think that might have been what it was, you know. I think our fire resistance mead had worn out, which is why we were getting hit like an absolute truck by the fire damage over time. Dude's going to start a forest fire if he's not careful. He's setting all the trees on fire. Yeah, look at the actual difference in damage that we're taking with the fire resistance mead compared to when we didn't have it. It's a shame those meteors don't deal damage to him as well. Right. A little bit more damage. Yes, there we go. Yagluth's soul has been defeated. Down you go, you skeleton asshole. So that is the Yagluth fight. So he will obviously drop his trophy. Oh, hello. Hugin is here, or is that Munin? Which one are we? Yay, celebratory. Do a quick celebratory jump. So we now have a Torn Spirit and Yagluth's trophy. Torn Spirit is the item you get for defeating Yagluth. There's Munin. Well met, Wanderer. I am Munin, brother to Hugin. I bring greetings from the Allfather. His eyes... Oh, I missed it. If you want to go back and see what he said, I'd recommend pausing. Alright, let's remove the death marker and pick up all the rest of the pieces. So, with the Torn Spirit, you will have seen as well when we pick that up, that gives us a new build piece, which is called a Wisp statue, I believe it's called. And the Wisp is the next thing that we need in order to go to the Mistlands. Now, as I've said about the Mistlands with the mist, it's very, very difficult, almost impossible to traverse through the Mistlands without having a special item. That's what the Wisps are for. So with the Wisps, I will showcase to you how you actually get these, but you will be able to pick up, once you've built these Wisps, like statues or altar or whatever it's called, we'll have to go and double check that when we get back to base. You will be able to gather Wisps. You'll only be able to gather them at night time, but you will see these kind of bluish white wisps, these really small little kind of glowing balls that are flowing around the statue. You'll be able to activate them and pick them up, and then you'll have to build something called a wisp light with them, and that will help you clear the mist in a small area around your character, so it does make it easier. I say a small area, it's actually quite a big area. But it clears the mist in an area around your character whilst you're exploring the Mistlands, and that is the item that you need from Yagluth. And we will hopefully build that, if not the end of this episode, we'll build that at the start of our next episode, hopefully. And you'll notice as well there I got 3 of them. You only need 1 to build the Wisp statue, so it does give you a few to build a few statues if you have several different bases that you want to have these Wisp statues at. There are other things that you can build with the Wisps as well, so I wouldn't just gather 1 and then take it down and forget about it. I would leave it up, and I'd gather them anytime you're at base at night time. Just gather a few of them just to make sure you've got them. But yeah, that is the Yagluth fight. Not very easy at all. It can be quite difficult, and yeah, make sure you have fire resist meads. I know I've said it multiple times, I'll say it multiple times more. Make sure you have a fire resist mead. Have several of them as well, because the fight can go on for longer than 10 minutes, and the last thing you want to do is die. Like I did, especially like I did when we nearly killed him. Right, it's night time, so we're going to sleep through the night, and I will actually call the episode here as well. We'll start the next episode with building our Wisp statue. So, thank you everybody for watching. I hope the boss fight was informative, and I shall catch you in our next episode.